Welcome to Module 1. Today we will begin exploring the foundations of schooling, education, and training. Throughout this presentation, we will examine how societies shape educational systems and how educational institutions reflect political, economic, and cultural values. We will also discuss how educational practices influence equity and opportunity in society. As we move through the presentation, think about your own educational experiences and consider how schools have shaped your understanding of knowledge, authority, and citizenship. Our essential question asks, how does understanding different societal practices impact the evolution of education? This question is important because education does not exist independently from society. Schools reflect the beliefs, values, and politics and economic systems of the communities that create them. Today's objectives are understanding how societies shape educational systems, analyzing how ideologies influence educational practices, and recognizing the importance of equitable education. As we move through the lesson, we will connect historical examples to modern educational systems and examine how educational structures continue to evolve. To begin, we will examine the differences about schooling, education, and training. Although these terms are often used interchangeably, they actually represent different processes and goals. You will also reflect on one personal schooling experience and decide whether that experience best represents schooling, education, or training. The discussion question asks you to identify the defining characteristics of each concept and connect those ideas to your own educational experiences. As you respond, focus on using evidence from the text and examples from your own life. Schooling refers to the total set of experiences that occur within schools. This includes formal curriculum, extracurricular activities, social expectations, interactions with teachers and peers, and school rules and routines. Schooling is heavily influenced by the government structures and public policy. Schools are designed not only to teach academic content, but also to prepare students to participate in society. Because of this, schooling often reflects the political and cultural priorities of a society at a particular point in history. One important aspect of schooling is the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum refers to lessons students learn indirectly through the culture and structure of the schools rather than through formal instruction. For example, students may learn obedience to authority, competition, time management, social norms, and expectations about behavior. These lessons are often unspoken, but they can strongly shape attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. The hidden curriculum reminds us that schools teach much more than academic subjects. Also, the hidden curriculum is communicated through many parts of school life. Examples include classroom seating arrangements, teacher authority, rules and disciplinary systems, textbooks and curriculum choices, as well as teacher language and expectations. For example, schools may reward punctuality, conformity, or competition without explicitly stating these values. As future educators, it's important to recognize that every classroom decision communicates values to students even when those lessons are unintended. Training differs from education because it focuses on preparing individuals for specific skills or tasks. Training usually has clearly defined goals established by the trainer or institution. Examples of training include driver's education, workplace safety instruction, technical certifications, and military drills. Training is necessary in many settings because society depends upon individuals who can perform specialized tasks. However, unlike education, training may focus more narrowly on skills masteries rather than critical thinking or creativity. To understand education, we must also understand the concept of political economy. The political economy refers to the social, cultural, economic, political, and demographic dimensions of a society. In other words, it examines how societies organize themselves in order to function. Educational systems are shaped by economic needs, political priorities, cultural beliefs, and structural social structures. For example, industrial societies often create schools designed to prepare workers for factories and businesses, while democratic societies may emphasize citizenship and participation. Also, Studying in institutions such as families, governments, businesses, and community organizations helps us to understand how educations function within society. Schools do not operate in isolation. They are connected to the economic systems, political systems, community values, workforce demands, and social expectations of their community. Understanding these relationships helps educators recognize why schools are organized the way they are and why educational reform is often connected to larger social changes. Education differs from schooling and training because it focuses on the overall intellectual and human development of individuals. Education encourages people to think critically, develop creativity, build reasoning skills, explore ideas, and prepare for a variety of life roles. Rather than focusing on specific tasks, education aims to develop the whole person. A strong educational system helps individuals participate meaningfully in society and supports democratic citizenship. Formal education refers to organized learning that takes place through structured curriculum and instruction. This type of education has historical roots in ancient Greece, where philosophers emphasized logic, reasoning, and intellectual inquiry. Formal education usually includes schools, colleges, universities, structured curriculum, and graded instruction. Over time, formal education became one of the primary ways societies transmitted knowledge, culture, and values. Historically, formal education was limited to the wealthy individuals and social elites. 300 years ago, most people could not read and write. Access to education depended on wealth, social class, gender, and geographic location. The wealthy had access to books, tutors, and leisure times for study, while meanwhile, many other workers worked long hours and had little educational opportunity. This reminds us that universal public education is actually a relatively recent development in human history. The rise of capitalism and industrialization changed the need for education. As economies became more complex, societies required literate workers, skilled laborers, and citizens who could follow instructions and participate in civic life. By around 1900, the United States became one of the first countries to approach universal schooling for children. Even today, however, universal educational access remains unequal in many parts of the world. This historical shift demonstrates how economic and social changes influence educational systems. Ideology refers to the beliefs, values, and assumptions that justify a society's political, economic, and social arrangements. Every society has ideologies that shape how people think about their government, equality, success, education, and citizenship. Dominant groups often influence which ideas become accepted as normal or correct. Schools play a major role in transmitting ideology because they shape how students understand society and their place within it. Take a minute and think. This activity asks you to think about a time when you encountered a major ideological disagreement. Consider, how did you respond? What assumptions shaped your perspective? And how might empathy and communication improve understanding? Educational environments often bring people together with different backgrounds and beliefs. And effective educators must learn how to encourage respectful dialogue while helping students critically examine multiple perspectives. And when we think about other people's perspectives and empathy, we can learn how to improve our communication. Lastly, our concluding idea is that meaning always depends upon context. To truly understand education, we must ask questions about the society, our culture, our politics, our economics, and who's in power. Teachers are not passive participants in education. They actively shape learning environments, classroom culture, and students' understanding of the world. This is why inquiry, reflection, and critical thinking are essential parts of effective teaching. For our final activity in the module, you'll determine whether different examples represent schooling, education, or training. As you make your decisions, think carefully about the goal of each example. Use information from the video and reading to complete the graphic organizer, providing examples for each column. You should have at least 5 examples per column. For the discussion question, think about the broad purpose of intellectual development. Was your experience preparation for a specific task, or was it the part of the overall experience of formal schooling? Provide an example as to how your experience connects to these ideas. This activity will help you reinforce the distinctions among the 3 concepts of schooling, education, and training that was explained throughout the module.